Okay, we're going to be making a start at the webinar today. So, hello everybody. So, let me just show very quickly my camera just to say hello, a very quick hello, if you can see me. Hello. And I'm just going to minimize that so that it doesn't disrupt the conversation we're going to have today. So, a very welcome to the webinar today, talking about the Africa Solar Tracker. I'm Tony TU, the CEO and founder of Renewables in Africa, and I'm delighted and excited to be talking to you today about our tracker that we put together. So just as a very short reminder, so the WIBA call, which is What is Best for Africa, that's the acronym. It's a platform where we discuss the challenges and also the opportunities that the African continent face regarding two sectors in particular. We're talking about renewable energy and also Africa technology. So in the lead up to this call today, so we've had a number of people signing up for the conversation. So I would say about 95% on from the energy sector and energy and consulting, I would say. So we've had developers, a bit of investor and researchers, which I would say looking at the topic does not surprise us very, very much. Okay, so let me now move into the conversation per se. 1 second. Oops. Okay, these are just typical house rule that we follow to make sure that we can have good conversations. Your camera being turned off, so don't be surprised if you can't see yourself on the screen. It's done on purpose. Your microphone as well has been turned off, and then you have the chance to ask questions. Use the chat command, please. And I will also please ask you whether you can ask the end of the conversation to be able to address your question. And then at the end of it, feel free also to send us the feedback. Last but not the least, I also want you to make sure that you enjoy yourself during this webinar. Okay, that's the agenda we're going to go through today. So we will be talking about renewables in Africa for people that don't know us and want to find out a bit more about who we are. Obviously, talking about the tracker, that's the topic of today, understanding why it's important. And then I give you as well a bit of insight as to how we built it. So what market data it contains, how we believe it improved the industry, and how you can take advantage of this fantastic tool. And we're just going to conclude the conversation. So that should be able to take us to a nice part. Okay, let's first of all start by the conversation. Sorry, the renewables in Africa. So what is renewables in Africa? So it's a two-in-one company. Usually we say that. So we provide different services. We're a clean energy engineering consultancy first. So we provide a brokerage and road to market to a clean tech company looking for deals. And then we recently launched our newest service, which is called Deals, connecting people with opportunities in the continent. We also provide market insights and business intelligence. Those are for investors or people close to investors. And the topic of today sits within the second line of service. Last but not the least, we provide as well technical advice to project developers and project consumers. You're talking about feasibility study, early development work that developer might be interested to do. Whether you're talking about an established developer who would be interested by the local knowledge, or you want to be looking at a new developer with little or no experience in the development of solar project or wind project. So we can provide support there. And all of you will probably know us as well from being a media platform. We promote and raise awareness about the industry across the continent, and we spreading what we call the green gospel. And this is what we are, so Renewables in Africa. Now, let's move a bit more properly into the topic of today, the tracker, understanding why it's important. So I go through that with you. So one thing I'm sure you all have noticed is there is a lot of information about solar market in Africa. And it's actually scattered. So that's just a couple of news that came up recently. So Zambia with the first solar project in the country, with also one of the lowest tariff, I would say, if not the lowest at the moment. And East Africa talking about the largest solar plant that's in Kenya, and so on. Also information about the tariff. So because there's a number of projects being held up at the moment in Nigeria because there is a negotiation between the developer and the government, or properly understand how PPA are set. All those information are available. The issue is it's scattered all around, and it's a bit difficult to make proper sense of what is happening. So they are fundamental questions that I would say usually developer, investor, or researcher will have in mind, and they usually will struggle to get some responses. First of all, they might want to understand, okay, we're talking about the whole industry in Africa, but in fact, how much has been installed in total? So this is not easy information to find. And also understanding, okay, how much of it is operational, what is in the pipeline, so that I can plan and make sure that I can adjust my strategy to make sure I can hit those projects that will be coming in line soon. Or simply understanding, where are they located? Okay, we're talking about solar. Are we talking about West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, Southern Africa, or even North? So this kind of information is not easy to collect. Also, from the financial perspective, you might want to understand what is the estimated cost of the project, because as a developer, for example, you want to be knowing what kind of expenses you'll be looking at. So how much money you want to be raising. And for you to know that, it sometimes will help to have an idea of what other projects in the area have been and have been spending to be able to get a project to take off. Looking at the tariff, right? That's the holy grail information. Yeah, that's how you find out whether you're able to meet your cost, and also to meet as well your returns expectations. So all this information, not easy. And simply to understanding as well, you're stepping into a geography, you know for certain that you're not the only one, so you have some competition or even some colleagues, right? So you might want to go and talk to them. But the question is, who are they? Who are the developers? Who are the EPCs? Who are the investors? That's a number of questions that are not easy to understand. So what we're trying to say here is there are some available sources. I'm not just saying here there is no information at all. There are some available sources. Now, how can you get information that will give you an overall picture of the continent? This is where the issue is. For example, if you're looking at ECRE, this is for West Africa, you have a project database, but this is actually centered around project happening in West Africa. You have ARENA, right, providing some information across the continent. If you search that as well, you might struggle to have a database that's properly focused into Africa. There are some other sources, REN21, Wiki Solar, CSIR, that's in South Africa, for example. But what you would find is still a regional approach of the continent. And that's why you will struggle to get a full picture. Our tracker tackles solar in Africa as a whole. And we're also looking at both technologies, right, in the sector, whether you're talking about PV or you're talking about CSP. This is our unique feature. That's what we believe we stand at, and that's what we are unique and pioneer in the sector in that. So how was it built? Because that's an important information. So I'm sure you would have guessed by now. So you're looking at 3 type of avenue where information has been gathered. So you're looking at desktop studies that we've done with our colleagues and consultants. We've carried out some telephone interview and also some field work. This picture that you can see, for example, was a picture of me last year. That was in Kenya. That was during one of the trips that I made there to meet the client and to do some research as well. So we're taking advantage of our trip that we're making on the continent like that to make sure that we could pursue our studies to come up with a tracker. Hopefully that could help the industry. So, and how has all of that been processed? First of all, you want to collect the data. And one thing I have to say here, maybe I've not mentioned that yet, This is a tracker for large-scale solar. So large-scale solar, usually the industry will take it as 10 megawatt and above. The issue is in Africa, the market is a lot smaller compared to the rest of the world for now, I have to say. So project beyond the 10 megawatt, there are not a lot of them. So we have decided to drop the limit into a 5 megawatt. This is purely a design feature that we've chosen. So with that in mind, with assumption in mind, so we've been analyzing the data that we collected and doing a level of verification to be able to come up with a table. So that's what we have done. Now, we're talking about the tracker. Okay, that's nice. Now, what kind of market data does it contain? Because if it's going to be useful to anybody in the industry, it has to contain some key information people are looking at. What are those information? Certainly, when you're talking about a project in the region, in the continent, you're going to be understanding, obviously, where it's been built, region, countries, what is the renewable target for that country that could be helping, what is the share of renewables energy of generated electricity, the target year, the project. So there's a whole lot of information that we've put together. So I'm certain that there's certainly other information that we have missed, and we will be looking at probably reviewing that and see if there's anything else that we can add or maybe reduce. But we felt like for this first edition of the tracker, this will give people at least some idea of what they should be looking at when they're talking about the sector in Africa. A little disclaimer here. What I have to say is, for people that purchase the tracker, what you'll be able to see is that not all the fields have been completed for a very simple reason. It's very, very challenging to collect information for all of these fields, for all the projects that we have listed. Because collecting data scarcity, it's a real challenge for the industry in the continent, and we have faced that as well. So, but to the best of our ability, we have provided the information we came across and we were able to verify. Having said that, we believe as well that there will probably be some inaccuracies in the tracker, and bear in mind this is the first version. So we will be looking at making some correction along the way, and then making sure that we can engage with people to, as much as possible, provide an even more accurate tracker for the years to come. But for the time being, what we've put together here and now is the let's say our best attempt to get the information together and to provide let's say useful information for everybody in the sector. How does it look like? So here you have a screen capture of the tracker. You can see all the field on the top that I have mentioned there. And this is showing, for example, country that we've listed in North Africa. Essentially, you talked about Algeria, Egypt, and Morocco. That's where we've recorded a solar project at the moment in Africa. And then at the whole table, we have about 134 entries. So when you come across looking at that. Now, how does it improve the industry? Because, okay, it's nice to be able to list all of that, but what is the use? Yeah, so can we take advantage of that? Yes, absolutely. We see 3 benefits, if I can mention that. First of all, as I was mentioning before talking about a regional approach of the whole market in the continent. Now, this gives you, in a short space of time, a quick overall picture of large-scale solar in Africa, which, as I say at the beginning, it's quite challenging and difficult to get. So the table at least will give you that. So you have all the region, whether you talk about North Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa, you have that on the table. So it gives you a full picture. It also provides you some key market data. I mentioned to you the tariff, for example, right? Okay, not all the field for the tariff have been completed, but at least for each of the region, you will have at least 1 or 2 examples where you can see what tariff has been applied. And as an investor, as a developer, it gives you an idea as to what you should be looking at when you engage into negotiation, for example, with offtake and regulator. And also, another advantage is we're gonna be keeping updating the tracker. So should you take advantage of this service and offer, you make sure that you keep in line with the industry in the continent. Now, what is next? So obviously, this is not a one-off shot that we've done. This is the first version, and we're very much hoping to deliver the next edition for next year. But in between, that's 2020. But in between, we will be providing to our clients who will be engaging with us on some services that we provide some updates. So I will detail that in the next slide. And also, at the moment, with a couple of partners, we at the moment exploring some other industry segment that could be explored. Because this first tracker is talking about large scale, so there might be an interest looking at other sector as well. So yes, let me move to the next one. Okay, so how can you enjoy the sunshine? That's how I call it. You can see, for example, Sunday smiling at you, thinking that I'm hoping you're gonna take advantage of this fantastic offer. So first of all, what is currently available? We have the tracker, right? 134 entries, as I mentioned, in Excel spreadsheet. So that's what the database is about. And we provided with that a short report that gives you as well some market insight on the sector. And the price for that, we believe, is very, very affordable for people because we wanted to introduce the service. That's why we say, okay, let's just drop it, forget about the profit for now, but just have a reasonable cost, which we hope people will be able to take advantage of to discover the tool. It's just 150 pounds for the tracker. Now, for clients that are more interested in working closely with us and getting the information on a more regular basis, we'll be providing some bespoke services on demand. So we're talking about an update of the tracker. There are different options that are available. You might want to have every 3, 6 months or 12 months. It's up to you. You might decide to go for a detailed report that will accompany the report, the tracker. Also up to the client to decide. And the key information here is we will be giving the option to the client to select the key data that they want to be tracking, whether they want to be tracking, for example, the discount rate for this project, or they want to be tracking for example, the tariff, or they want to be tracking the actual cost. We will give them the choice of data they will want us to look at for them, and we'll be doing the work on their behalf. Or another deal that we have at our disposal, that we launched it not long ago. Those are the deals that we have because a number of people will come to us with a list of a project where they want us to support and help. That's just an example of some of them that I have listed there. You can see a couple of solar PV projects that we have advertised. So the service that is available here obviously is a deal access and the facilitation. And there are 2 packages that are available. So should you be interested, so feel free to get in touch with me. And for both the deals offer and the bespoke services, we have market rates that apply because the introductory price was simply to present to you the tool. Like I said, if you are more interested, feel free to get in touch with me. You will see my detail at the end of the presentation. And as a conclusion, what I could say is the tracker is serving a few purposes. So we have the solar market data that is scattered and not easy to understand quickly. So with the tracker, it gives you the possibility to get a grip on the information very quickly. And then the current available sources, or at least most of them, will present you a regional picture of the market. If you're interested, for example, as an investor, as a developer, to look at the whole continent to get an idea of what is happening, the tracker is definitely a tool for you. So we are unique and pioneering a new tool, as I mentioned, because we're not aware of anybody else presenting a tool like the one we are having. So if there is, okay, no problem. We're probably gonna recognize that and apologize to the person. But as far as I know, At the moment, this is the only offer available that is serving that purpose. And then it gives you a good generic knowledge, and there are bespoke services, meaning that you can go even further into your understanding of the market in the continent. So this is what I had to say about the tracker today. Hopefully, give you a bit of an understanding what it does, and then obviously you have the link there if you want to go on and just purchase the tool. And then last but not the least, let me say thank you. In my language, we say Ngapelo, which means yeah, thank you very much for following this call. And now I would be open to taking your questions. And then I would say, if you don't mind using your chat command, and I'll be happy to respond to them. So let me take 30 seconds because I can see somebody's typing. Okay, I have a first question here, and the person is asking me, how accurate is the information? Okay, I believe I answered that, but let me go back if I can see. Let's go up. Yes, that's the one. So the information we've collected from three sources. We're talking about desktop work, and then interviews that we carried out with people from the industry, and we also done some field work. And this is how we've collected information. We've done some verification as to checking that the information we collected was were matching what we could see from other sources, and to make sure that there is at least some correlation there. And where possible as well, we've made some we've reached out directly to people from the different country or the different project to verify as well some information. So we believe there is a high level of accuracy in those data. However, I cannot say it's 100% accurate. There will probably be some information where we've had to rely on some sources which themselves might have some errors. So bear with us with that. However, I believe so far it would have been relatively accurate. So I'm hoping that is answering the question. Let me just take another question that I can see here. Okay. Okay. Mrs. Tony, thank you very much for the webinar. I would like to ask if it's possible to get a video of your webinar, please. Absolutely. So all our webinars are actually video recorded. You can get them on our website. So if you go, there is a section called Webinar Series or WEBA. You have all the webinars that we've carried out. And I can also assure you that after the conversation today, in about a week or so, once we've been able to process the video and make some editing, we will be sending that to all of you, including a PDF of today's presentation. So you will be able to see that. So rest assured, you will have it, because I'm well aware of the fact that I might have been way too quick on some details, so you didn't have time to read that. Okay, another question. Is the tracker useful for the country where I operate my business, Madagascar or Mauritius? Great question. So I'm pretty much certain that it will be useful for Mauritius, because there are entries for Mauritius in the tracker. And Madagascar, on top of my head, I will have to check. But there is a good chance, because as I say, what we've done is looking at the solar project across the continent, right? So looking at the 5 regions: North Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa. And both Madagascar and Mauritius are part of Southern Africa. So they should have been covered. And if it's not the case, so as I say, if you want to engage with us privately for more detailed information, you always have the bespoke services that we offer to our client. Hopefully, that is giving you some comfort there as well. So yes, okay. I have another question, and the question is, what is the rate of operational solar plant versus the unoperational one? Okay, I think that's a bit of a tricky question. You already want to extract some answer from me. Okay, I'll be generous. I'll share that with you. I believe again, I don't have the information in front of me, but I remember that the operational solar plant, looking at the total capacity that we've listed, because obviously I have to explain, in the capacity in the project that we have listed, we've also shown the status, whether they are currently connected to the grid, basically operational, working, or they still in the phase of a development, whether they have been planned, constructed, or commissioning. So we've mentioned that. And if I remember correctly, we had about 35% thereabout that were operational for the continent, and that was about a little less than 3 gigawatts. And for those of you who may not be fully conversant with the unit, 3 gigawatt, you're looking at the equivalent of 3 small nuclear power plants, right? So that's what, just to give you an idea, and that's for the whole of the continent. So suffice to say that it's very, very, very small. It's even less than, I think, maybe 0.5% of the total global capacity. So in a nutshell, we're talking a lot about solar in Africa. In actual fact, what has been done is still very, very minimal. That's what we have to say. But the good thing is the industry is picking up, and people are waking up to the sector. And then over the course of the last 2 years, I've seen more and more countries wanting to do something in solar, and there's a few tenders that are happening. And talking about the tenders, if I can say something about the tenders, don't mistake yourself with tenders as well, because a lot of the tenders will go on, but very few will actually be implemented into a proper project. So there is something to be quite cautious about there. So hopefully as well that is giving the answer. Okay, I have another question. So how easy or difficult was it to get the information? Okay. If I have to be honest, I would say it was not easy at all. Yes, it was not easy at all, because it's difficult to find a central database where you can collect information. That's one. So there's a lot of work there. So we actually spent about more than 6 months actually researching all those informations, and that's what it takes. And I suspect until we have more reliable sources, a regular tool that will provide this kind of information, so that's what it would take. And that's what we're hoping, that the tracker will be useful for people in the industry. And we also have to say that we will welcome any support and help from people who want to contribute with us, because bringing clarity about the industry is what we need to be able to make sure that we make reasonable progress. So let me just again look at a question that I have received. Okay, so from the report, can you tell us where the hotbed activity is? That's one. Connected. How would you know which country, region, where up? Okay, so where the hotbed of activity is, I can definitely say you that without giving you all the key content of the report. But if you're following the sector, you won't be surprised to know that there are actually two key sectors, two key regions. So the first one is Southern Africa, under the leadership of South Africa. ever since South Africa launched their RIP program, which is a program looking at IPPs, private IPPs. That was in 2011. So they built a significant amount of solar power plant, and this is actually what has been spearheading the industry on the sector. And recently, the South African market, I believe, have opened up the window 4, where they have announced a new round of projects. So that's definitely one of the key hub bets. The second one is North Africa. And in fact, North Africa, if I have to explain a little bit, they are more focusing into CSP technology, because the temperature over there is quite high, and this is especially a country like Morocco. I believe all the solar plants in Morocco that are currently operational are CSP. There are some PV plants that have been planned. As far as I know, they are not operational or yet. And you also have obviously Algeria, which is another big countries. So that's to give you information about the hotbed. So how would you know which countries, region, where the opportunities is? You will want to be looking at the pipeline, and that's what I was saying, and that's exactly the kind of information I was saying. So people, when they're looking for opportunity for deals, they want to know where they want to find out. They want to know where to look for, and this is the kind of information from the tracker. By looking at what is in the pipeline, you will be able to see, right? So that's why it's important to know a country. I've highlighted that, for example, one of my LinkedIn message. A country like Namibia, right? Small country in terms of population, less than 2 million. And then yet in the last 2-3 years, they've built something like 30 megawatts of solar. So we don't talk a lot about them, but they're actually moving. So that's a good country to be operating with, you know. And the governance over there is relatively good for Africa. So the tracker gives you again this this kind of information. So hopefully that is helping you a little bit there. So let me take another question. I think I've responded to this. Was asking me, is the tracker covering CSP or PV or just PV? So this is another key advantage of our tracker. We're not just looking at the PV technology, we're also looking at CSP, because we want to be looking at Africa as a whole. What is a solar market is doing there? And the CSP, they're essentially again 2 regions where you will see CSP project in Africa, North Africa and South Africa, right? Because for the South Africa market, for example, with the RIP program, there was a quota of CSP project that was planned, hence project being implemented. So it didn't happen by accident, and then it was also about the same kind of planning happened in North Africa. So it's good for you to know. I'm not sure a lot of people will know that we actually running the 2 technologies in the continent. And beside those 2 regions that I mentioned, for the others, they're essentially looking at a PV, at least for now, right? It gives you the information. So let me see another question. What has been the market reaction? Oh, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking. The market reaction has been relatively positive, right? Relatively positive. So I also have to be honest. I would say I believe they will embrace it a lot quicker. So like any new product, any new material, so there's always a little bit of a reservation, which that's fine. We understand that. We welcome that. But it takes a bit of I would say education to get people to understand what we looking really to achieve here. Hence, us having this webinar with you today, so you can understand what's in it and what we are looking to do. in general, I would say the reaction has been encouraging. Yes, encouraging. We're hoping with years to come and with partnership that we will be able to build along the way will make it even more effective and more interactive and more useful to the industry. So yes, so we definitely will not stop here because we see that as an essential tool for all of us to perform the work. And as we said, we are very interested as well. For example, you have the mini grid market, which is definitely picking up in the continent as well. You have CNI. So we want to be looking at how can a tracker potentially be developed for this tool, even if when you start talking about smaller capacity projects, so it becomes even more difficult because there will be a lot of them, and yeah, so getting access to data again will be quite challenging. However, we're exploring that, and we will let you know with years to come if we're able to make some progress there. So that's what I would say. So maybe a couple of seconds to wait for the next few questions. Okay, another one along the way. Would you accept partnership? If yes, which one? Again, I believe I briefly touched upon that. Yes, we welcome partnership with various organizations. So ideally, we want to be engaging with an advocacy group or some other private entities that can help us to raise awareness about the tracker and give us as well useful feedback to make it more effective. So yeah, it would be, I would say, unwise from us not to be wanting to collaborate with other people. Although we have taken the initiative to launch it, we very much believe that collaborating and sharing with people will be the way forward to make sure that we can achieve what we're looking to achieve here. Okay, another one, great question. Would you encourage developers to log their project with you? Absolutely, absolutely. The tracker is here to list a project and give us a picture of the overall industry across the continent. And remember, I told you that it was quite challenging to get information about projects because what we found is people, generally speaking, were sometimes complain about the scarcity of data in the industry, and yet they will be the first not to share sufficient information about what they do. I'm not asking about sharing all the sensitive information about their project, but a minimum of data sharing, data gathering, it's good for all of us. So for people who are willing to contribute already, when they start building their projects, so engaging with us, sharing with us, so that's a good way for us to list that. And yeah, so people know that there is a new project that has happened. So I would say, if you know people that are interested and want to find out more, get them to contact us, please, and we'll be talking to them and be more than happy to list their project in next year or even the next update to be able to show that to people. So yes. So let me see if there is one or two last questions. After that, we might be thinking of wrapping up. Yep, good question. How much does it cost? Talked about the cost. The cost is the introductory price for the tracker that we developed. Let me just go there first. That's the one, yes. You're talking about £150 for both the spreadsheet database and also the short report that goes with it. So yes, that's the price at the moment, and you can purchase that from our platform, Renewables in Africa. So www.renewablesinafrica.com. Let me see if I have it here. Yeah, this is our website, as you can see. If you click there, you will look on the right hand side. You should be able to see the tracker, and then you can automatically purchase it. So yes. Maybe one last question. Okay, I don't believe there is any last questions. If all is clear, so that's great, excellent. Again, let me repeat, the presentation will be available. So I'll be sending the PDF in about a week or so, even less than that. And the video should also be available within a week, and you'll be able to look at that in your own time and share with other people. And in between, if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me. You have my detail listed there, and we'll be happy to talk further. And yeah, before we wrap up, would appreciate if you could maybe take some time to complete our quick polling. Yeah, poll, so that we can see them. Just launch it. If you get a polling, so that would give us some feedback whether you have something to say regarding this webinar, and we can make progress for next time and make sure that we deliver what you're asking for. Okay, just another 20 seconds, and then after that, we wrap it up. And then you can go back to your own stuff during the day. So the next webinar will be in about a month, and we'll be announcing the topic very soon. Great. Okay, that's it. So let me just stop it right now. Excellent. So all that is left for me to say is thank you very much for taking the time to stay with us today. So I'm hoping you've been able to find out more about the tracker, and then recordings and slides will be available within a week. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out with us. Thank you again for joining, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the day. So thank you for your time, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.